You know, everyone's talking about AI and jobs. The big fear is this tidal wave of automation, right? Mass unemployment. But what if the real threat isn't some loud explosion, but more like a silent flood? Today, we're going to dig into India's really unique AI puzzle. It's a country with a booming tech sector, but the story is so much more complicated than the headlines let on.
It's the big question on everyone's mind. I mean, with all the incredible advances in generative AI, you'd expect to see unemployment numbers just shooting through the roof, especially in a tech-heavy economy like India's. But the official data? Well, it tells a surprisingly different story.
Yep, you heard that right. India's official unemployment rate has been hovering around a super low 4%. So what gives? Is this whole AI threat just a bunch of hype? Or are we looking in all the wrong places? Turns out, to solve this puzzle, we have to look way deeper at the very structure of India's workforce.
You see, the Indian economy isn't really one single thing. It's more like two different worlds operating side by side. You've got this shiny high-tech head, and then you've got this vast informal tail. And how AI affects them, they're completely different stories.
So on one side, you have this absolute powerhouse tech sector. We're talking over 5.4 million people in IT, plus another 1.9 million in what are called global capability centers. Just think of those as the big in-house tech and operations hubs for multinational companies. For millions of people, this has been the ladder to the middle class. But then, there's the other side of the economy, and it is massive.
Now, what's really wild is the sheer scale of it all. A staggering, and I mean staggering, 90% of all Indian workers have informal jobs. Think street vendors, day laborers, small farmers. They don't have formal contracts, no social security. So when a big shock hits the economy, they don't get laid off in the way we usually think about it. They just get less work, or their pay goes down. They completely slip through the cracks of our standard economic numbers.
And that brings us right to the core argument here. The true impact of AI in India isn't going to be some sudden, very visible wave of unemployment. No, it's something much quieter. A silent squeeze on the entire labor market.
So here's the crucial point. Forget mass layoffs for a minute. The real damage is this constant pressure on wages, a decline in the quality of jobs, and, most critically, a major bottleneck for young people just trying to get their start. That ladder to the middle class we talked about, it's being pulled up rung by rung.
And if you want proof of that bottleneck, here you go. Nearly 1/3 of all college graduates in India are unemployed. Just think about that. Millions of educated, ambitious, young people totally ready to work, but they just can't get a foothold in the economy.
And it gets worse. A shocking 40% of young people in India are classified as NEET. That stands for not in education, employment, or training. They're completely disconnected. That is a massive pool of talent being left behind even before AI really hits its stride. Now, this isn't just some theoretical problem. We're already seeing the evidence in other countries. In the US, the launch of ChatGPT was followed by a 14% drop in hiring for young workers in fields exposed to AI. Now, consider India's massive outsourcing industry, which was basically built to handle exactly these kinds of entry-level tasks for the world. A similar or even larger effect isn't just possible, it's probable.
And the warning signs are already here, if you know where to look. Real wages for regular employees are flat, or even falling. The tech sector is making more money than ever, but hiring fewer people, especially fresh graduates. And we're seeing this steady shift away from stable, formal jobs toward much more precarious contract or gig work.
The conclusion is pretty clear. Our old tools are broken. Relying on the headline unemployment rate to measure the health of India's labor market in the age of AI, well, it's like trying to navigate a storm with a broken compass. We need a completely new dashboard. So what if we built an AI labor index for India? Something that tracks the things that actually matter. You'd see right away that on things like informality and youth employment, the risk profile is alarmingly high. Its huge services sector is highly exposed. And you can see that serious pressure on earnings and a shift towards underemployment. This gives us a much more accurate picture of the real vulnerabilities.
And what about digital readiness? You might think, hey, India has over 1 billion internet connections. That's a huge strength. But it's really a double-edged sword. It means AI tools can be adopted incredibly quickly, which just shrinks the amount of time workers and policymakers have to adapt to these massive shifts. The change is coming, and believe me, it's coming fast.
Okay, so this all sounds pretty grim, I know, but it doesn't have to be this way. Recognizing these hidden threats is the first step. The next is to actively steer AI towards better outcomes, instead of just sitting back and waiting for a crisis.
The path forward really involves a four-pronged approach. First, we have to start measuring what actually matters. Second, we need to guide companies to use AI to help workers, not just replace them. Third, education needs a massive overhaul. And fourth, the social safety net has to be expanded to cover everyone.
And this isn't just theory. We're talking about concrete policy actions. Things like broadening official surveys to track gig work and underemployment, using tax breaks to reward companies that use AI to make their employees more productive, shifting school curriculums away from rote learning and towards critical thinking, and crucially, making sure gig and contract workers have access to basic protections like health insurance.
Because the alternative is to keep steering the ship using those outdated maps. It means waiting to act until the damage is already done. As the source material puts it so powerfully, it's like seeing the iceberg only after hitting it. And by then, it's going to be too late.
So that's the central question facing India today. The choice isn't whether AI will arrive, it's already here. The choice is whether to build the new tools we need to see its true impact and navigate the future, or to just stand by while this silent squeeze erodes the livelihoods of millions, all under the cover of a stable unemployment rate. The time to decide is now.